All right, welcome to Dr. Trichome's Greenthumb Diaries, conversation with cannabis growers and legends. And we're here with Bingus. How you doing, Bingus?
Good. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Thanks for coming. Would you like to let the people know about you? I know about you, and a lot of people know about you, but would you like to give us a brief intro of who you are and what you do?
I am a cannabis grower, and Bingus is a slang word in the Urban Dictionary for weed and bong. 503 is the area code that I live in Oregon. So Bingus 503 on all the social medias, you'll be able to find me. I've been growing cannabis since 1972, and I've pretty much grown every which way that I can imagine. And I've been in prison twice for growing. Um, yeah, that's about it. I've been on YouTube for about 6 or 7 years now.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thanks for all this. Well, thanks for letting us all know that. Let's get into some of the conversations. How did you get started in the cannabis industry? Was there any specific event or experience that made you decide to get into ultimately staying in the cannabis industry, both professionally and as a home grower?
well, cannabis started with me early as a kid. I kind of had a rough childhood, and I didn't know it at the time, but I had a severe case of post traumatic stress. It made me a very good athlete. I ran track, I wrestled, and I played football. Um, I was running a race the senior, I think I was a sophomore. Yeah, I was a sophomore, so I was 15. And he would disappear behind the dugout. The baseball diamond was near the track. And he'd come back, and he was a state champion, 440, all right? And he could just fly like a bird. And we got to be friends. Eddie Shore. I don't think he's even alive anymore. But he said, "Come on, man, you're coming with me today." So I went with him behind the dugout, and he took out this fat joint. And this is like 1972 ish, I think. And he
Okay.
goes, "This is a secret of me winning all my races." So I go, "Bullshit, man." I go, "Dude, I was way against it. Was not a
Mhm.
fan of cannabis. I thought it was for degenerates and lowlifes." All right. So I said, "Nah, man, I'm not, I got a race to run." He goes, "Exactly." And he took a big hit, and he gave it to me, and I pussy hit it. And he
Yeah.
said, all right, let's go run the race." He goes, "Hey, get back here." He goes, "Watch me." He takes a big old hit and just barrels out a huge thing. He goes, "We ain't leaving here until you actually do what I just did, take a big hit." So
Oh shit.
and dude, I instantly, my eyes blotted out. I got the starry, like I'm going to pass out. I dropped to my fucking knees, gagging and billowing smoke out. And I don't think I've ever quite reached that same high since. All right.
I don't think you ever will, right?
And I ran my best race ever. I broke
Okay.
two. I ran the half mile, and I broke it. Back then, if you ran below 2 minutes, it was pretty. And I did a 158, and I just killed. I had to look back to see if anybody was chasing me, and so I was pretty much hooked. I slept like a baby. I didn't realize again that I had post traumatic stress, but I had very bad dreams, and I had very. It was hard. I didn't want to go to bed. I'd always stay up late, and I could sleep. So I was hooked
Okay.
right then and there, man. I mean, that's when I decided this will be a part of my life. And whoever told me that it wouldn't be a part of my life, I pretty much just told them I had something in my pocket for you, and it was one of these. So no, I'm doing cannabis because it makes me sleep, it balances my life, and it lets me live a more productive life. Really.
Okay. Well, I was gonna ask you what inspired you to that's kind of that was a great story. I mean, in the beginning, how you found out, like when you first took your first hit, and you was trying to run a race, and he said, exactly, you're trying to win that race. What was really going through your head when you first took that hit?
I couldn't. First of all, I was coughing my lungs out, so it wasn't really positive. It
Oh, it
was
was
it was a few seconds after I quit coughing that I went, whoa, and I just felt this like angels came down from the sky and picked me up, you know. And
okay.
then I ran down. And I just couldn't wait to run, and I was just bouncing around, waiting, and then finally my race came up, and
And
I just, I mean, it didn't. It just I busted out ahead of everybody, and
mhm.
it never. The distance only got longer. It didn't. Nobody
Oh,
could
so you
catch
won. Oh, so you won that race.
me. I dusted everybody. I couldn't believe it. I did. I went. If you could do 2 minutes and a half mile, that's 2 60-second quarter miles. That's pretty
Uh-huh.
good. I ran 1:58, so I back then that was pretty good. Nowadays they run like 1:40, and I mean they're way better athletes. But it was a
Well,
pretty.
back then, the times wasn't like that. Like the us as a new generation, not just us, but the newer generation of kids, and yeah, they got us,
See, I got.
But
Go ahead.
would you say? I was about to say, would you say that that cannabis actually improved your running when you was running it after that? Did you think it did that it improved it?
Probably not. Okay, I mean,
But I'm saying, did you win
to be
Did
honest.
you win more races with
Oh
smoking?
yeah.
But
I didn't. I never.
I'm not saying that you smoked it and healthy wise, but mentally. Sometimes I used to run track too,
Oh yeah.
and since when I used to run track, I used to be nervous sometimes going to
Oh yeah.
another school,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah. It helped me every
yeah,
dude. I was always stoned after that, so it just became part of my life. I mean, I'd
okay,
smoke it on the way to school. In my high school, we had modular systems, so we had break sessions where we just all go out in the car and get high and come in and read the
okay,
whole school up. And it wasn't. It was different, you know. Plus, we didn't have the quality of weed, so we had to smoke a lot of fucking weed to get high. And so, dude, you were in a car that was usually you could barely see the other guy. That's how smoky it was, and
it's a Cheech and Chong moment.
pretty much. But yeah, it saved me. It saved my life. I wasn't headed in a very good direction because I was getting in a lot of. I was just overly aggressive, and if you just looked
Okay,
at me the wrong way, I had very low self-esteem, and I just had a bad childhood. So you give me a reason to punch you, I probably would. And I
okay,
was thrown out of school a couple times for fighting. But when it came to sports, they gave me medals for being aggressive. So I enjoyed sports, and I was very good at it.
yeah, that's similar to me. I growing up, I played football, wrestling, stuff like that. So ran track. It was and outside of it, being from where I was, I did the same thing, like always getting in trouble, being overly aggressive. But again, like you said, cannabis saved my life too. Like it helped me calm my anger and channel it to do other things. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
more focused on doing football, running track, stuff, so on and so forth. But yeah, and it helped me with my nerves. I do, if as much as I be boastly and so on and so forth. I do get nervous here and there to do certain things. So like even like out reading out loud or even doing this interview, it's a little nerve wracking. So yeah, that smoking a blunt or cannabis always helped me out.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
It, it's very helpful in that regard. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, and some of the people might want to know, what are some of the key milestones in your cannabis growing career?
um, well, okay. So We got to go back, rewind.
Let's go on back.
So I got married to my high school sweetheart, um, who did not smoke weed. And in my marriage, I would hide. I was a closet smoker.
Okay.
I'd come home from work and I would go into the garage, roll a joint, and I would always go for a run. And I'd get high as fuck. Come home, take a shower, no reek, everything's fine, right? Nobody knew the difference. But when you're in a marriage, or if you're with somebody that you're hiding shit from, it's not going to last. And so eventually, something happened to where I got a divorce. You know,
Okay.
and then after that, I had two sons to pay for, and I took on all the debt. I knew I was going to get hosed. Back then, if you got a divorce, the guy was, you might as well just hang up your life because it's over. All right. And so, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. The attorney wanted to go to court and fight for, like, I think I owed $12,000 worth of debt. And I said, no, just give it to me. I'll take it. I just surrendered. I said, I'll just take it all. I don't want any more trouble. I just want out. And so, yeah, I was using cannabis a lot to balance out my emotions. I had
Okay.
severe post-traumatic stress at that point. I actually tried to commit, the ultimate death, suicide. I tried
Yeah.
to kill myself. And after that, I realized that I needed to get a divorce. Actually, the guy one of the doctors told me, he said, look, at a part-time father is better than no father. And that kind of stuck with me. And then I got stronger. I started training because I was in kind of a weakened state. And then I left and I got a divorce. Hardest thing I ever did. I had two oldest boys. And, but cannabis saved my ass. All I had when I left was my credit card. Okay.
Oh, they
And
left you. The divorce to leave you with just that.
I had a credit card and I had a car that I was a salesman for a hardware company. So I had a car that they gave me and a credit card. And I went to my friend's house and I stayed in a trailer, an 8-foot trailer in his driveway. And I used his shower. And, but I had really good credit. So I went right a block over from where I was staying in the driveway of this guy's house. There were two houses kind of adjacent from each other that were for sale by owner.
Okay.
Okay. And I went in and I said, hey, how much? And he told me that this, that, and the other. And I said, okay. And it was about the max. I could get both the houses and max out my credit card with the down payment, right? And then make payments, right? My thought was, I'm going to start a grow, right? I'm going to whip this thing that's got me by the throat, all right? This divorce, the child support, the whole 9 yards of being hated on for being divorced and having children. So this guy was cool. He said, yeah, all right. And I gave him the down payment. I mean, he was in walking distance to give payments to. It was just a nice little thing. And I started growing weed, dude. And it was halide lamps, but I converted the whole fucking house. And so I got caught up on my child support. I had a new Ferraro, I think they called it Pontiac Ferraro.
A Fiero.
Fiero, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Fun,
Fiero.
fun.
Yeah.
And
The little two
I was womanizing like crazy and just having a good old time, which really pissed off my ex-wife. She couldn't figure out what the fuck, right?
there. Yeah.
You're supposed to be struggling. Right?
Out here living life.
I was striving. And so then my kids would come over and fortunately the house that I had, there was separate area where I grew and my middle son, I live with him now. He's actually in the other room. Came in one day and goes, "Dad, what's all these shiny cloth?" And I'm like, "What?" And he takes me into my fucking grow room. I go, "Oh shit, yeah." And I go, "Well," and I can't remember what I told him, but I told him it was somewhat. I didn't call it cannabis, but it was. I go, "This is my medicine that I grow and I use," and I never lied to him about it.
Mhm.
And I don't know how I missed the bullet of him going home and telling his mother, right? Because
Yeah.
I was waiting for that to happen. Never happened. I go, "Yeah, I do this," and I go, "This is how I'm actually making child support payments." I was just very honest. He's like 6 years old. He goes, I have to make child support payments, and I grow the medicine, and it helps me at night, and I sell it to my friends, and it helps me pay the child support. I was just honest with him. And so he just kind of, okay, cool. And that was the last that was said until, of course, they got older and figured it out. But it just was my go-to, man, because I was a divorced dad that had to pay child support. And back then, you had to go through the state with your employer to pay the child support. And the employers didn't like that because it was extra work for them in their bookkeeping. And it also displayed that you were not responsible. And generally speaking, if you had those attachments, you were on the bottom of the list to get hired. So you didn't really have much of a choice but to either go into construction right, or roofing or something that wasn't. They didn't really give a shit what you did in the past, in which I did all that, by the way, until I
Did
until I
everything.
until I finally said, "Fuck it, I'm just going to bite the bullet and do something illegal." And I had many close calls. I had girlfriends that would come over and they would find it. And jeez. And then I'd have to, you know, sell it to her and her friends. And it's just, and then mouths would, and then they knew where it
People.
was. And it's just like, wow. So, but fortunately, I did that place. I just got so tired with the court system. I was trying to get custody of my two boys. And the
Okay.
attorneys were just jacking me around and taking all my money. And I finally kind of said, fuck this. And I went to a place called Dads Against Discrimination. And I got really involved in their process. And I got on the news and about Dads Against Discrimination. And then they started helping me win cases. And I started, again, once you're down, I just don't stay there. I refuse to give up. I find something to leverage my way out of it. And Dads Against Discrimination was one of the things that shut my ex-wife up, basically, because I was on the 12 o'clock news or on Channel 12 News in a suit, and I had learned to be a good public speaker. See, I had to overcome a lot of my insecurities, and I went to school to do that. I went to the Dale Carnegie Institute for Human Relations, and I
Okay.
learned how to speak and how to talk in front of people. I started training. I became one of their trainers, and wearing a suit all the time. Right. One day, I trained this guy. Said I forget what the name of his company was. He had money, but you could just tell by looking at him. He was a slimy dude. And he goes, "Okay, this is my product. Sell me." And so there's an actual way, psychological way to sell things. I just I was very good at it. And he goes, "Dude, I don't have a salesman on my force that could do that just at the drop of a
Okay.
handkerchief, right?" And he goes, "Would you like a job?" I go, "No." Right?
Oh.
No, dude, the guy's a slime ball. And
Oh
then
shit.
I go back that night as I'm undoing my tie in the mirror. I look at myself and I go, "You're training the devil, all right? How to
Mhm.
be more evil." And that was it. I hung up my suits. I still have them in my closet. I could probably wear them now, but they're still there. And I put on a carpenter's belt because I did have some carpentry experience, and I just started doing windows and doors, and working for myself, growing weed. That's how I've made it, man. I mean, I got turned in a couple times by roommates, but I got through it.
And that's okay. So all right. So we're gonna just veer off a little bit from it's deep into your life. We're gonna go into like some of like the growing aspects in the cannabis part of
You,
the
you want to hear all
I
the
really want to hear more of your story, but we're gonna move on and then we're gonna come back to it. Okay.
sure, no problem.
Um.
Get past the
I,
shit. Yeah.
yeah, I already know. It's that's awesome. I do like to hear. Again, I've been inspired by every time I hear you talk and stuff, shit like that. So I'm used to. I
I'm,
like to hear it. So I'll let you go on and on. So I won't stop you.
uh,
Um, but I wanted to know, like, do you? All right, how? All right, but let me get back to it. How do you? Could you describe your preferred cannabis cultivation methods and techniques?
simple,
Simple.
simple. Just
Is
grow.
just
Just
grow.
grow. People ask me this all the time. Just grow, because if you're growing, you're going to learn, and you're going to gravitate to what your situation requires for you to learn to grow. All right.
Okay.
If you know, I'm not a very good salesman when it comes to lighting or nutrients or any of that shit, because your situation may be different than mine.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So it's really up to you, if you're interested, to absorb what you can and take what fits for your situation and do it. Pay attention to the plant. Today I did a video on IG where I'm flushing Bingus
Okay.
Smile that I'm growing. Why? Because I let the ppms get a little bit too high. But I was watching the plant, and it showed me in the leaves that it was getting some phosphorus toxicity. So
Okay.
I immediately just flushed it all out. And I used the hempy bucket and perlite with a dash of peat moss, uh, because it's simple.
Okay.
It's a sip system. You get a bucket, you measure up 2 inches, drill a 3/8 inch weep hole,
Hmm.
and you just top feed. And then you can just pick the bucket up to see if it needs to be fed. You can't overwater because it'll come out the weep hole into your tray. Um, yeah, just do it and
Okay.
watch the plant. Watch the plant. Get a chart of all the different deficiencies. I think Jose, or there's many charts out there that'll show you. You can just have it on the wall. What am I doing wrong? Chart. That's what I call it. And then fix it.
Yeah, it's usually like that. Just find chart on the wall, do what you got to do,
Yeah,
and
fix
time
it.
and
Fix
fix
it.
it.
And be
Um.
willing to be attentive to your grow. In other words, don't just go in and say, "Oh fuck, I've got to water." Well, that energy alone, walking into your and greeting your plants with that energy, isn't good for them. A plant is an energetic being. It will interact with you. It's a companion plant to humanity.
Yeah.
All right, it's designed to work with us. So let it teach you. Let it learn what to look for. And when the leaves are curling down and they're dark green and the tips are yellow, that's telling you something, right? Don't just say,
Hmm.
"Well, it's strain. It's the strain." No, it's not. All right, because it didn't start off that way. All right,
Yeah.
so pay attention, and just do it. Just grow. It's nice to have a sponsor. I am sponsored by Grandmaster Level. He's an excellent manufacturer of some of the best lights in the world. And I also am sponsored. I'm sponsored by Blue Planet Nutrients. You can get 10% off either by using Bingus as your discount code. But I don't press that button too much. I mean, because your situation may not require those two things. All right, you may want to use halides, you may want to use Spider Farmer or Mars or whoever, or maybe you want to use metal halide. I still have a brand new metal halide that I keep threatening to bring out. You know, but do it. Be committed to what you're doing. Okay, because it's healing. Usually, if you're doing it like me, I do it to heal me.
Yeah.
Not only the benefit of the medicine going into me in oil and in inhaling it, but just the energetic exchange between myself and the plant. And the fact
Okay.
that I'm thinking of how to make it better, and the fact that it occupies my mind, all right, is a healing aspect of cannabis. So just take all of the experience in, and that's how you get better at it, because you're encompassing everything the plant's trying to tell you. So
Okay. That's what's up. That's some it's speaking about inhaling and I'm about to partake. Would you like to partake with me and
I think I shall. I have a
so
pipe.
cheers. Everybody in the chat out there in YouTube world.
Yeah, if you look at the ancient history of cannabis, it goes as far back as we can find any written history. So
Mhm.
it's here for us. It really is.
I that is so true. I feel like we already have receptors for it, so it is here for us. Cheers, everybody. My next question would be: could you describe your preferred cannabis cultivation methods and techniques? I know you was talking about the hempy buckets, so would you like to go ahead and furthermore with some more
Okay,
information?
so I like to breed. So I like to cross strains.
Mhm.
Kind of runs in my family, breeding stuff, dogs, flowers, cannabis. My uncles, my dad. So I learned a lot about breeding in general. Uh,
Okay.
so I want to see the plant grow naturally. I don't bend it over. I don't put it under a scrog. And I keep my lights at the same height. And I use these little, I think they're stools. They're accordion type stools that
Okay.
I can raise and lower the plant to get the height to where I want it, instead of continually raising and lowering lights, because all
Okay.
my plants are different. I do a rotation, so it's a perpetual grow.
Okay.
And
I understand.
so it's with a perpetual, eventually you have all the weed you need. Okay. It just takes a minute. It takes a minute to get it through.
Mhm.
And I had to shut it down. I went for stem cell treatment um, about 4 months ago, and I shut it down and cleaned it all. And it's just starting to come back, and it's been almost 5 months. So, I mean, it takes a minute for it to get back
Okay.
to that state where you're buried in weed, which is a good place to be.
Yeah, we're gonna get back there soon. Um, shit, I forgot what I was gonna ask you. We were talking about your growing styles and so on and so
Oh yeah.
forth. Um, what would you say? I mean, all right. So, given your vast experience with experimenting with inputs and methods, what is your favorite grow setup?
Kind of what I'm doing now, uh,
Okay.
because I over the years I've just simplified things. Keep it simple,
Okay.
make it even more simple, make it simple, simple, simple. Um, when it was illegal, some of you guys probably know, I've mentioned several times, I used to make these stealth boxes out of inch-and-a-half isocyanurated roofing insulation, and I'd had a 4-inch PVC tube that was 4 feet long, and I had like 8 of them. And you'd rotate a tube in every week, and then you'd be rotating a tube out every week. And I grew in 9-ounce solo cups, and they'd get 3 feet tall. And each one of these boxes was usually 4 by 8, sometimes 5 by 10.
Okay.
and it would have a 400-watt HPS in the middle, and it was like a jet fan. I mean, it was like I mean,
Like
you
a
open
can
it,
fan, I think it was called. Those
yeah,
can fans, those brown big. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
but it was so much air pushing through there to keep the heat down.
Okay.
And what we would do is we would find a cool source. Generally, people wanted them in their attics, so we would find a way to get a tube down to the ground through the basement and dig a hole deep enough to where we could get 60-degree temperatures, and then we would suck that air up to the attic and blow it like a blast furnace through the
Through the light
box.
too.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, all the plants were kind of leaning towards the direction of the wind, kind of like at the seashore,
Yeah.
but the buds were amazing. And I used to do it for 50% of the crop.
Okay.
First harvest would take 50%. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that almost every time there wasn't really much of a harvest. So I said, fuck that. I just charged the shit out of the box. So do you want anything out of it? Nope. Well, what's in it for you? It's going to be $3,000 for the box. What? Yeah, that's what's in it for me. You pay me up front.
What's in the box? Great.
Yeah. He goes, dude, it ain't going to cost you that much. I go, no, but what's up here will. So, because I could go into any house and analyze best place to grow, how we were going to do it. And I mean, I made a living at that, doing that for quite a while.
Okay. Let me get back into the questions. When I say like, okay, your favorite grow setup, so on, like you say, like getting the humpy buckets and so on and so forth. So how do you start your clone? Like you go by clone? Do you like the pop seeds? And
Yep.
if so, do you use like the rapid rooters? Do you use solo cups, 1 gallon pots?
Okay, so yeah, I like seeds and I like cuts, so I do both.
Okay.
Root Riot seems to work good for me. I have the old style dome cloner,
Okay.
and they generally, when I take a plant into the bud chamber, I'll take two cuts. They go into the cloner, and then once they get roots, they get rotated into a 16-ounce solo cup, and then I get 6 of those in a bin that I have that'll carry 6 of those. And those bins get laid out in my veg area until they need to be transplanted into a 3-gallon bucket, which is the hempy bucket.
Okay.
And from that, it just goes into the bud chamber and repeat.
Okay. When you do have those, when you do use your clones on your seedling stage, how do you do your lights? Like, again, I heard you say you put them on accordion and you just adjust it to on its own. But I was wondering, do you do 24 hours? Do you do 18/6? Is the light? Well, you said the light stays up at the top, so I don't need all that. But do you keep
On
it at 16 and 12 inches LEDs and T5s? You know.
In the bud chamber, yeah, it's 13 off, 11 on, and about 12 to 8 inches from the light. But when they first go in, they're probably 2 feet away from the light, because many times I want to sex them, and so I'm not really curious. And lately, I'm taking in smaller plants, so I want them to stretch a little bit. But once they get, so you go into the right side is where the new plants come in, and then they rotate to the left. And as you go left, the light gets a lot more intense because it's encapsulated with some walls that make it a little bit more bright. And so as you move along the rotation, you graduate to a stand near 12 inches from the light, and then eventually you get harvested. The thing I like about the Grandmaster level light is I use the full red 100% all the time, and it cuts off about a week of bud time. So and that's been pretty consistent, no matter no matter what you're spraying.
Cutting off a hole for 7 days. So a 60-day strain to go for 53, so
I
on and
had
so forth.
I had one today that was done 46 days. I went, no fucking way. But it was a smaller plant, all right? It was Afghani. And I went, huh, okay. That's a first. Okay, that's as quick as I've ever done it. Usually it's
Hmm.
50 to 56 days right in there. And it used to be 63 to 64 days.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's, I can grow anyway, I've done it all, man, as far
Yeah.
as RDWC or the SIP systems, the organic. Um, I'm not a big fan of bringing dirt indoors,
Yeah.
uh, and I grow primarily indoors, so I don't usually use dirt at all. I don't like it.
Okay.
I grew a lot. I grew a lot in rock wool to
Okay.
begin with, and it worked real well. But now I'm using the perlite because it's cheap. It's inexpensive. Rock wool's expensive.
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
and dude, get this perlite. I was buying these bags that were like $4 a bag. Now they're like 20. I'm like, no
Yeah.
fucking way. What the fuck?
Yes, sir.
Are you kidding me?
The no, the number fours are like $56 in the big bag, and I remember they were like $30 or 20-something dollars
I'm like,
about
what?
5 6 years ago.
So I can only imagine what a bag of dirt is. It's just, too much.
They are not that bad these days, to be honest with you. Uh, but
Might have to change.
yeah. So I was wondering, like, okay, so we already talked about your light setup and so on and so forth. So I want to know about your feeding regimen. Do you? Well, if of course you don't do dry amendments, but what you said earlier, you're sponsored by Blue Planet. Do you use Blue Planet? Are you using Blue Planet and with your hempy buckets?
Yes, I use the Elite 3. It's a salt
Okay.
line. Blue Planet has every kind of, I mean, they have organics, they have the whole 9 yards. Rob is, they're in Katy, Texas. He's really a good dude. And they're already in, inexpensive as far as pricing goes. And 10% off is nice. And yeah, the part, 3 part, and I don't know, what is it? Nitrogen, microbes, and something else. Anyway, in veg, I also use their liquid seaweed,
Okay.
but I don't do that anymore in flour because I like to see the colors. Seaweed has a tendency to turn everything green. It seems to me. It's been my experience anyway. Um, and I've been doing, dude. I've been using Blue Planet for about 5 years. 5 years now.
Okay.
I get hit
Yeah.
all the time by different people, but I just if it's working for me, usually don't change.
I was about to say if it's not bro, why fix it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I know you're in hempy buckets, and I know being personally, I know you're very very clean, and they know about your grow area. I wanted to know what about the IPM, the Integrated Pest Management?
Good question.
What about your little routine that you go through just to prevent any pests in there?
I used to use Method One,
Hmm.
and they changed the formula. Dude, I can't remember the name of the stuff I use now, but it's very close to the original formula of Method One. It's the peppermint smell,
Okay.
and dude, I've had every kind of bug you can imagine, and it seems to, as far as a preventative, it seems to work pretty good. And
Okay.
I just keep my eye out for them. In a perpetual garden, it's a big problem. If you get bugs, you're fucked.
It ruins everything down the line.
So you got to just again be attentive, watch, look. I have magnifying glasses at every station, so I'm constantly. Is it a male, a female, and what's that spot? Okay, wait a minute. That was water. All right. What's this spot? What's that? I mean, it's like,
Stay vigilant.
like you
Gotta
got to
stay
do.
vigilant. Sometimes you see a spot and it's just a piece of. I mean, with me, it's just a little speck of cocoa. But I'm thinking it's something on my plan, so I'm out to freak out until I go get my magnifying glass, like you do.
Well, Dr. Trichome, I think, would be a best way to be. You got to be Dr. Trichome when it comes to that
Yep,
shit.
I have to be all the way down. Because again, you say when you're running a perpetual grow, um, you have to stay vigilant because if not, within that transfer between one room to the next, you can ruin everything.
And I got two cats that like to come and
And I
see what
got
I'm
two
doing.
dogs, so
So
that's the
it's
say. So
you just if you keep the thing about bugs is if you catch them early, you're good. If you let
yep,
them go, you are literally screwed.
yep.
Might as well
Uh,
toss them, man. Especially spider mites, those dudes.
Spider bites. I'm throwing them gasoline and flame.
Yeah, it's a losing. I fought spider mites one time for a year, and I
Wow.
lost. I lost. I mean, you can keep them at bay. You can make them non-threatening or a non-issue, but you're going to spend an extra hour or two a day doing that, and it gets to be, oh yeah, it gets to be a pain in the ass. Now in veg, I go 16 hours on.
Go 16 hours of light.
I tried some
Okay.
different methods there, but it kind of messed with my. Yeah, I
Yeah,
started
totally
sick.
forgot about that technique where it's like 5 hours on, 3 hours. You ever heard about that?
Yeah, and no, thank you.
Okay. All right. So I want to know about your training regimen. Like, do you mainline? You like topping, fibbing? Do you twist and crack, super cropping, Cushman chiropractic? Those techniques.
No, I I don't. No, I don't
Oh yeah,
follow. I don't
okay.
follow the nutrient schedule that's placed out by the manufacturer. I don't. When and this is why I end up with burns. Okay. Usually I go whatever the max is in veg and whatever the max is in flour, and I cut it in half.
Okay.
Okay. So I if it's 1200, I want it at 600. Um, the problem, if there is one, with hempy buckets or any system that you're adding to, is the ppms will eventually rise, and it will burn your plant. But if you're watching your plant, you're going to see when that happens. When that happens, you do what I did today. You can go to IG and see a video where I just roll the cart over, get 4 gallons of water, and just pour it in. Use the drain off to water the rest of my garden, right? And then it's flush to zero. And then for the next week, I'll just give it pure water. All right. And then after that, if I still got time, I'll do 50% nutrients again. And it seems to work, but you got to got to pay attention. Just got to pay attention to it.
Okay. Um, I want to know when do you flip the flower?
Um, it usually depends on the size of the plant. The plant has to be at least 2.5 to 3 feet tall normally. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes they're a little shorter if I'm sexing them.
Okay.
But I wish I could just grow 6 footers, which I can't. It just takes too long in bed to get them that big. But I have done that. I've grown 6 footers and get yourself a pound of plant. I mean, it's nice. But uh, to keep the flow going of the variety, I keep them at about 3 to 4 feet, preferably maybe a little lower than that. And that way I have plenty of room to bring stuff in and not jam things up too bad.
All right. So when you flip it for veg, right? Do you encourage or do you try to restrain the stretch?
I don't even think about it.
Okay.
I don't. I bring the plants in they're in the first stage, which means if you're going to stretch, get her done. If you're not, okay, I don't care. I want you to naturally show me what you're going to do. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So if you naturally stretch, I will make note of that in my book. And the next time I run you, I will know what day you actually stretch. I will know everything about you. So I want you to show me exactly what you prefer. And then I take notes. And if I choose to run you again, I'll know what you prefer. And I think you should run a plant 2 or 3 times before you really decide to jerk it, unless it's just something that, yeah, okay, get rid of this. So,
Yeah, I think I'm at that point right now with the White Wolf. I kept one single clone, but and now this one, the mother actually just gave me all the reason why I kept that one single clone.
dude,
So
that's it. You see, and so you're happy with your decision, right?
yeah, I'm very much happy with it. Um, so like I was saying, all right, so so when you were in flower, like you said, now when you talk about the stretch, it's the reason why I asked you that is because you say you bring him down since you keep your lights at the top. You just bring it down. So roughly, you say it's about 2, 3 feet, maybe 3, 4 feet. So when they get up there and they stretch, they usually about like not too close to the light, are they? Because they're a little small plants.
To, okay, so I don't know. I can't really show you.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like your light setup, the height of it.
Yeah, I
Do you
keep.
check the PPFD or anything like that? Do you check PPFDs? You just put your light in there. You don't try to adjust it to the height. You just adjust the plant to it.
Yes.
I mean, in flower, since we're talking about in flower, your plants is already like usually on the floor as low as they can be, and then
No,
just
they okay. So I have a. I take. Home Depot has these 18-inch by 36-inch shelves that you can buy. They're plastic.
okay,
Okay. So I'll buy a set of those and I'll get 2 carts. In other words, I'll take the 2 shelves, put in there, and I'll put casters on them. Right. So now
mhm,
you got a 3 feet off the ground, and
okay,
you got a way to roll all your stuff around. Okay.
okay, I
So
totally
you're
understand.
already 3. So then you take another 3 feet. You're 6 feet. Right. So you're
Hmm.
pretty close to where you need to be. If you're at 2 feet, then I'll use a spacer to bring it up to the light. I have 8 foot ceilings. See,
Okay, okay, okay.
all right,
That's totally
and
now that's totally understandable.
yeah, it's just again simple, it's easy shit. Nothing. I mean, I used to do when I did the boxes, I would have an automatic drip watering system, but everything is on the same um, water, using the same water, right?
Yeah.
But with the hoses, you get dry spots, and so I'm not a big fan of that one. I mean, if I'm going to do hoses, I might as well just hand water, in my opinion. So that's just personal. Other guys, they make it work. Good. Do what works for you. Really.
All right. Let me get back into the feeding regimen and flour, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, you're using the bottom nutrients, but what about any enhancements? Do you use any PK boosters, any silica, so on and so forth? Nothing, just whatever's just in your nutrient line, right?
I've experimented, and I didn't notice a huge difference. I mean, there is some products that will do what they say. It's just again, especially with these new lights that I'm running, I don't see a need to do it. And unless it's screaming at me like, dude, I think, unless I look at the plant and I can think, I think I can make these buds bigger somehow, right?
Okay.
I might try something, but usually no, because then I have to put the brain power and the note work down to see what's going to happen. So it better be a good strain if I'm going
Okay.
to take the extra time to record and document what needs to be done for this particular strain. I have a Godbud strain right now that's a little finicky. I burnt the shit out of it the first time I ran it, so I went, okay, hang on here, what's going on? And so every now and then I'll get caught. I'll get side blinded by a strain. So things are strain dependent. That's definitely. But I love the variety. So more strains, more.
More varieties. All right, so let me get back into some more of the nutrients. All right, we all use CalMag. You use CalMag. I use
Yeah.
CalMag. We all use CalMag. All right, but when do you switch from CalMag to just Mag Sulfur, aka Epsom salt?
I don't ever do that.
You don't ever do it. You just keep up with the CalMag and just use it through if you need it. Okay.
See, the last few days is pure straight water. I mean, the last about 20 days is just flush. So don't need to.
Okay.
Don't see.
Um.
I'm not trying to piss anybody off. It's just I don't
Yeah.
see the need to do it.
No, it's no problem. No. You're totally fine with that. Um. And like I said, it's no judgment. It's just how you grow. Again, this is your style. This is what you do.
Simple.
Um. So like now you were talking about water and like you flush at a certain amount of time. What kind of water do you use? Do you use RO, ionized, distilled, tap?
In Oregon, we have really good water. So it comes straight out of the tap at about 65 degrees once it's flowing. And yeah, I don't need RO water. If I did, I would use an RO filter for sure because it's the main ingredient that you're putting in.
Okay. Um, in flour now. What about your IPM routine? Do you I know like of course like there isn't nothing past 3 weeks of flour. You don't do anything. It's like if you got something, that's it. It's either you're gonna kill it there or you
No,
watch.
yeah, no bugs allowed into the bud chamber. If they do enter, I don't know. It's really a case by case situation.
But I'm
Uh,
saying not even if they come in. So you don't use no IPM going into flour. You
well,
just
no,
as
I
long as there's
tend
no bugs in the veg, there shouldn't be no bugs in the flour, right?
no. Um, okay, so when you get when you're in the veg and you're targeted to go to the bud chamber,
Uh-huh.
um, first thing I do is I take a couple clones
Okay.
and I wait a few days to make sure that those clones are going to live, and then I bring it in to the bud chamber. It does a mass. When they first enter the bud chamber, I do a massive leaf strip. I mean, I take every single leaf off of the plant completely, and I flush it completely, and then it gets set in the corner. And
Okay.
within a week, what happens is the hormones gush, and it just this huge growth spurt happens. And then once I see that, then I'll start fertilizing, and then it just goes from there. So I learned when I worked at Jupiter Seed. I worked at a hemp farm in 2019,
Okay.
and I worked with an old Hispanic guy from South America, and he explained to me a lot about the hormonal aspect of cannabis. And or he was in charge of it, but we had a crew, 7 greenhouses, 50 feet by 100 feet. They would start at one greenhouse and completely leaf strip everything down to nothing, all the way to
Yeah.
the seventh greenhouse. By the time they got there, they would go back to the start and do it again. And believe me, the turnover rate of these people was incredible because it's just the boringest fucking job in the world. But the hormonal expression was incredible because you're seeing it on a huge layer. Like you're not just seeing 4 or 5 plants. You see like thousands of plants that are just all responding with this hormonal gush.
So
And and so that's why I do the same method. I adopted that methodology into my garden back in 2019 from Pedro, who taught me that little trick. He also made me realize that about herms,
Mhm.
hermaphrodization was just the fact that you're usually growing either a monocrop or a rotation type crop of all females. And
Okay.
when you're doing your job really good, as most all of you guys out there do, your plant's going to gush hormones, and they're going to end up with herms because there's no males, right? There's no males in your environment. So they're going to say, this environment is far too good to waste. Which one of you girls wants to grow a little bit taller and spring a few little herms out there? And they will do that. And so you can get any plant to do that. It's a procreational measure that the plant does naturally. And the talk about herms and stuff
Mhm.
just kind of bizarre. How you want to kill plants and stuff like that. It's just you don't. A lot of people just don't understand. It's a natural process. All right, and if you can get a hermed plant like from a nanner, those seeds are money, dude. Those seeds are S1s and they are money. I'm not kidding you. So, and that's what we did at Jupiter Seed is we were making feminized hemp seed for countries,
Uh-huh.
China, Turkey. I mean,
Okay.
5 gallon buckets full to the brim of seeds, millions of dollars. Uh, so those seeds had to be fertile. And what I got hired on to do was develop a new strain, which we were doing. They were in the middle of doing it. And Pedro came into my live stream and invited me out to the farm. And I went out there and I ended up getting a job working there and learned a lot of stuff. And he learned a lot of stuff. And, but what Pedro and I told the owner, who was not a cannabis smoker, he was a businessman, and he just wanted to pump the business up and sell it for $100 million, was that you need to test at least 3 years of your feminized seed before you release it. And the owner had a contract, $1 million contract with a guy where he had to produce seeds. And so he took those seeds and he gave them to that guy. And I'm like, you idiot. I go, that's going to kill you. And sure enough, the guy sued him. And there was mass hermaphrodization. I mean, you're talking, he didn't even wait 6 months, man. He just, boom, shot those seeds to him. I go, bad idea. And I quit. I said, see you later, buddy. You're going to do this. I don't want to get caught between the crosshairs. So hermaphrodization is a bad thing if you don't do it properly. And if the first time around, it's not going to
Mhm.
be where it needs to be. You're going to have to do it a few times.
Okay. So I I can't talk about herbs. I don't grow. I literally don't take my plants anywhere past that. But the what I was about to say, growing for so long, right? And doing all these like seed breeding. Do you have you even did you again? You say you did breeding, right? So you did that, but I know, and I know a lot of people out in the community has grown some of your strains. I've heard, and you have a couple of strains. So would you like to go ahead and just tell us about your seed breeding and some of your strains, if you don't mind?
Well, the three that I'm kind of proud of right now is the Bingus Berry, and that's a cross of the Bingus Blackberry and double white cheese male that I have I call him Spartacus. 50% their F1s are mutants. I've mentioned that before, but the other 50% are keepers, all of them. The other strain I've been working with is Platinum Asset. That's Platinum Cake crossed again with Spartacus. I
Mm-hmm.
have yet to find a pheno that I don't like there. And then I also crossed Spartacus with, no, no, let me take it back. I have, from Jungle Boys, I have Sugar Cake. And I crossed the Raspberry with Spartacus, and I got a male. And so the male happened to show itself when it was in the bud chamber. It was right next to a raspberry. So I just took one flower and I put it on the raspberry just to get some beans to play with.
Okay.
And those beans are producing some of the best veg plants I've ever seen. And so that's sugar cake times double raspberry is what I call it. Double white cheese crossed with raspberry male.
Okay.
And I'm not letting those beans out yet until I see how the buds look. But if anybody in chat wants the Bingus Berry or the Platinum Asset, just email me and I will send you a pack. Bingus, Bingus503@gmail.com. Just,
Okay.
so,
We'll push post of that stuff at the end of the show
all right,
for you.
no problem.
Everybody, and then anybody again, and anybody that's in the chat that want to come up, and one by one, we're gonna have you go and ask Bingus a question,
Sure.
and you'll be able to do that afterwards. Okay, please, and just please be patient, just one by one. I want to make sure I do this copaesthetically. I don't want to have no issues, no nothing. So please be come up and be respectful at the end of the show.
This is
And
why I like this guy. This is why I like this guy.
please be fucking respectful, please. Um, okay, again, but you've been growing. So like again, you've been growing since you said 19, since the 70s, right?
Yeah. Since
And since you've been growing in the 70s, I know you've been having some ups, downs, and growing. Have you have any running with the law?
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
growing in the hip prohibition days.
Yeah, I did. I did. Let's see, I was 40. I'll be 69 in February. So this was a long time ago. I, I always had roommates, right? One of my roommates told on me. I don't know why. I think he got in trouble or something. And well, I know what it was. I had a box when we were living together in another house in Southeast Portland. And I actually hired my brother because he needed money to tear it down for me. And I was growing in rock wool. And he took the rock wool and he put it in the fucking attic with the insulation.
Okay.
And I thought, and he asked me, should I do that? I'm like, yeah, why not? It saved me from throwing it away, right? And it will help insulate the house. Well, he didn't take the fucking roots out of it. So what happened is we moved to another place, go all the way across town. I set up a really nice grow. Like your next grow is always your best grow, right? So it was a really nice grow. And I'm about ready to harvest. And I got busted. I got a knock and talk on my door. Hi, we're the Portland Police and we can smell cannabis. Would you like to let us in and see it? No. All right, well, come here for a minute. We're going to lock you in the back of our car and we're going to go get a warrant. That's what happened. And come to find out that he got scared. And because the other house that we were staying at, he was my roommate again. He knew the lady there, right? And so when she found the rock wool, she put new insulation in the house, and the insulating guy said, "Hey, there's cannabis roots up in your attic. What's going on?" And then she called my ex-roommate. He caved in like a stack of books and told everything.
Like a deck of cards.
Yeah, and they knock on my door and they go get a warrant. Okay, so they come back with the warrant. They come into the house and they can't fucking find the girl. And so, look, either show us where it's at or we'll tear the house down brick by brick. I'm renting, so I don't want that to happen. So I show them where it is. It's in the attic. It's against the back wall by the chimney where I connect to the chimney for ventilation and what have you. And
Mhm.
it's painted black, and you can't see it. It's pitch black up there. So you got 3 cops climbing up the ladder with me, going in there. I go up to the box, and it's under pressure. So it, when you open it, it has that
Oh, you got
suction.
one of the seal rooms.
Yeah, and then the light comes out and just blinds everybody. And they all at the same time go, fuck.
Oh shit.
And they go, well, how did you, are those tubes? Or they start asking me all kinds of questions. I go, you fuckers think I'm going to teach you how to grow? And that's when the guy took his baton and busted all the fucking lights and tore everything down and kicked everything in. And I was just like, you motherfucker. Yeah. And I did not have a good taste in my mouth. And I ended up getting arrested, and it all came crashing down. My reputation was tarnished. I mouthed off at the judge. I shouldn't have done anything. I should have just got probation. But I'm pissed. I'm a mouthy fucker. I'm aggressive. I got post-traumatic stress. I tell the judge what I actually think, and I went to prison. So, yeah, that wasn't too much fun. Thing about prison, though, if you're a marijuana grower, you get treated fairly well. I only got in one fight, so it wasn't too bad.
You get treated a little bit better. Oh shit. So, like you said, you had one of the little seal rooms. You had those like that was one of your stealth tactics. Any different stealth tactics that you had during the prohibition period?
Well, you didn't have scrubbers, so we would. You could get these pancake fans that were made back then, and I would take goop and glue it to a coffee can, and then I would take insulation or tubing, and that tubing would go into a burlap bag full of sawdust that had cedar oil in it.
Okay.
So that was our scrubber. And like I said, we were pulling cold air out of the basement usually. And yeah, they haven't changed things much, really. I mean, they've made it a lot more, the same techniques we were using back then are being used now, just a lot more efficient, effectively, I guess you could say.
Okay. So now that was back then. Now in today, now we're going to come up today with many states legalizing. What do you think will happen at the federal level and when?
Well, I know that the feds don't do anything unless they can make at least 300,000. Okay. So if you got $300,000 worth of something that they want, I would definitely be afraid. All right. If you don't, I wouldn't worry about the feds myself, because they're a big business, and they're not going to do anything that's not profitable, period. And I
Okay.
mean that, or they're gonna lose their job, so they won't do it.
So like I said, but going into what you were saying, right? Why do you think the federal government hasn't made any real moves to legalize it?
Because it's a way, cannabis being a companion plant to humanity
Mhm.
frees your mind. It balances the human instrument, and it's total counterproductive of what they're trying to do to us as slaves, mass slavery basically on mankind, is they want to keep us muted down. They don't want you to think for yourself. They don't want you in balance. They don't want you to get something that will heal you, that will cure you. They want you to have a treatment that they can make money off of. And so, yeah, that's why it's still illegal, because the pharmaceutical companies rule the dogma that we have called politics. And I don't think that it will, as long as we, the humans,
Yep.
let them, the parasites, feed off of us. That's the way it's going to be. And when we decide to shake these parasites off our backs, then we can go back to a much more balanced way of living. I think it's just personal opinion. But going through the system, that's what taught me is that our system is not designed to help you. It's designed to
Right.
steal from you. It's designed to fucking kill you. And I mean that wholeheartedly.
The system is made for you to be dependent on it. In my eyes, they make it like you said, it's made to kill you, but they also want you to. They want to kill you. It's control killing. They want you to be stay broke. That's what they want you to do. Stay broke.
They want you to perform in your high performance years, and then they want you to go away in your low performance years. That's why you only live. That's why our lifespan should go at least 120 or more. But if you make it to 70, you're lucky. All right. And the only way you're going to make it to 70, in my humble opinion, is to get your mind right about this system that we are all a part of. All right. We're all a part of this bullshit. And they're about to attack us again. So be ready. That's all I'm saying. You know. Yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry.
like I said, we were talking about the feds and the police and stuff like that. I mean, the feds and this federal level. Um, what are your thoughts about the talks of moving from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3?
It's talk. It's just talk. It's to make us think that they're going to actually do something, and they're not. They're not going to do shit. The states, the best thing the states, if they're very serious about cannabis as an income, the best thing that the states could do would be succeed from the union to get away from Washington D.C., which is not even a state. It's a territory, a foreign territory inside the United States. We're all being capitalized on as corporations in a business scam that's being fed paper backed notes that aren't money. And we think it's money. It's not money. It's just a perceived piece of paper that has, we perceive it has value. Okay. Gold and silver is real money. So they switched it early 1900s, actually late 1800s. It was started to merge in on how we're going to control the population because it's going, these rabbits called humans are actually out of control. What are we going to do? How can we control them? Oh my God. You know, and fleece them for all the money that they can make for us. And that's how they think. So,
Okay. Um, now, like, just say that they do, just say that they do reschedule it down all the way down to 3, right?
yeah.
You think they should reverse the charges for the people in prison serving time on charges in the states where it's legal now?
Okay, what happened in Oregon, because I have 2 felonies,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can go and get that done. And yeah, if that's important enough to you to do. But what I've noticed is what happens is the corporations that will hire you just disregard that. They don't give a shit because it's meaningless. It's on your record. Okay, it's legal now. Okay, we'll discount that. I mean, that's generally the approach in Oregon. So, but there are some jobs like federal or state jobs, or where you have to have perfect. Then you can go and have it expunged. So, it should have never happened in the first place. So yeah, if you need it to be expunged, but then you got to pay an attorney and all that. You got to pay. I mean, it's like, dude, they should give. What I want is expunge it automatically and give me my money back. That's what I want. I could be rich with the amount of money I've spent getting out of trouble.
I mean, you're so right.
So
All right. So now I know we got very like legally. Now, if you want to, we can get into like are there any specific tips that you can, because it's at the end. We're getting to the end, so
Okay.
um, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on the potential benefits of genetic modification in cannabis strains?
What? Say that again.
They got GMOs. Like right now, they've been doing like genes and gene modification. And have you heard about that? The new stuff in the future of in cannabis, where they've been doing like gene modification, gene tagging, I think it's called, or some stuff like that. But just to make, I think it's been for potency, more likely. That's what it is. That's the end game for most of these cannabis companies. But if you want, we can go ahead and if you want, we can go ahead and skip that question.
Well, it's
Um,
it's not that I want to skip it. I just wanted. I didn't quite understand the question. The
what are your thoughts on the potential benefits of like GMO
okay.
in cannabis strain?
So when I worked at Jupiter Seed, the
Mhm.
hemp seed farm, we also worked with Philo Bioscience. All right, they've kind of had a negative reputation as scientists that have basically taken the genetics and stolen everybody's DNA. And, I mean, I know them. I just got a pack of seeds from them, the biscotti, that they want me to test. And why? Because their genetic modification has purified that particular strain. All right, and it's brought it back to its original state. And they gave me 7 seeds for free, but if I was to buy them, it would only have been $25. So if that's the direction they're going, I like that. I like that direction. But that's Philo Bioscience, and they've gotten a bad rap, and they're good people. Actually, they're not bad folks at all. They're definitely into um, improving the cannabis strain. They agree with the fact that things have gotten too muddy. I mean, it's just too many people breeding all over the place. And there are some definite strains out there that need to be brought back. And if we can do that, I think that's a good thing. By the way, I want to say hi to my buddy Alan Teddy. How you doing, bud?
No problem, no problem. Um,
Cheers, chat.
all right. Can you share your vision for this? We only got a few questions, and we all
Go ahead,
can you
dude.
sh-
Nice one.
yeah. Can you share your vision for the future of sustainable and responsible cannabis cultivation?
Oh man, I dude, I just think more people should grow. More people should grow. Um, get interested in it. Um, that's the only way it's going to be sustained is when you experience the benefits. And if you experience the benefits and you can grow it. If not, make sure you know a good grower. Dr. Trichomes is a good place to find a good grower. All right. YouTube is a good place to find a good grower.
Yeah, YouTube.
I don't think the commercial aspect. When I was coming back from my stem cell treatment, I was sitting next to a guy that wanted to start a dispensary, and we had a long conversation. He did not smoke weed. He had a lot of money, and I told him that the best way to make money is you need to cut your employees in on your business. He didn't like that idea at all. I said, okay, well, what are you going to do? You're going to hire a grower. You're going to go through all the mistakes he's going to make with your product because he has no personal liability towards it. Um, and then what? Go out of business? Do you know how to grow? No. Then you're out of business.
Yeah.
And he goes, wow. He goes, well, what would you charge? I go 50%. he goes, that's ridiculous. I go, well, you asked, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what's the future? I think it's dim. I think the future in commercial cannabis growing is not bright. I don't think it is because they're not. Most of the time, it's not a sustainable effort. The ones that are sustainable will remain. That are in it with their heart in the right spot. Those that are looking for profit are going to die. They already are dying, and they already are falling like leaves.
Hmm.
So I don't
Okay,
I don't
good.
see a future for it, to be honest.
All right. What about the future for the people, the home growers? Like, do you see it being sustainable for people like us?
Yes, I do because it's they want us to stay at home anyway, right? They don't want us going out shopping for our medicine and stuff like that. They want to send it to us in the mail. Well, you can do that with cannabis as well. I mean, it's not like they have the mail locked down. Cannabis is legal. It's farm bill legal. Thankfully, they wrote the bill properly and it was challenged. So you can send cannabis anywhere in the world. All right. And they can even open it. But until they smoke it, it's not legal or it's not illegal.
Yep.
So I think that little thing right there is going to destroy the commercial industry because they're going to die of a cajillion cuts from guys like you and me that grow top shelf and are
Mhm.
providing for 5 or 10 people, right?
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep. Yep.
it's going to bleed them out. So, and I want that to happen. I really do. It's going to raise the quality of cannabis and it's going to get rid of the slime balls that are in it for nothing but the money.
All right. So, yeah, that's definitely what I feel that end important. Um, are there any specific tips you can offer to any aspiring cannabis growers out there that might come and watch this video?
Get in and do it. Do it. Just do it, man. I mean, get in there, find a light. If it glows, it grows, man. Just start doing it. Get a cannabis seed, watch it grow, let it capture you. Once you're captured, it's over. You're going to be growing the rest of your life. So it's a companion plant. Let it be your companion, is all I'm saying.
Mhm.
You know?
Well, I mean, that's all I got for the night. I would like to open up the panel. I'm not open up. I'm not really open up the panel. I don't want to do it like that yet. At the end, if everybody want to go hang out or whatever for a little bit, we can hang out for just for a little bit. But right now, is anybody have any questions? If you want to have any questions now, from Alan Teddy on down, I'll be pulling them up onto the screen, and I'll let him answer your questions that way
Okay.
because I do have issues with my me dropping out. I don't want to drop out if anything happens, so I can do one at a time. But if you ask the question, I can pull you up, and then yes, you can ask questions as you would like.
Who wants to come up and drill me?
Yeah, there
Yes.
you go. Um, I'm see if I can drop that link in the chat.
But I'm thank you for interviewing me, Doc.
Oh, hey,
Um,
bro,
I,
thank
I
you for
really
accepting my interview.
I like Dr. Trichome's live streams because he's got a level head, man, and he doesn't put up with a lot of BS.
I think so. I appreciate you for that. I really do appreciate you coming up and letting me question you about your life and and also about the growth. So, I appreciate you spending your time, just taking your time out of the day to come up and also be able to start talking to the. I have Inu backstage. Inu, how you doing tonight, brother?
Yo, what's up? Bless up. Good,
So,
good, good. Bless up. Going good.
You should
Bless
be
up,
coming up.
try calling. Yeah, quick question. What was like one of your some of your favorite old strands when you was growing in the 70s, 80s? And
What day
what
is it?
was the strands you
Sorry about
missed?
that.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, I do. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, okay.
Pre 98 Bubba Kush, Alien Technology.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, I can keep going, man. I mean, there's so many. But what's interesting, brother, is like I'm finding some of those strains are coming back. So I think it's
yeah.
the tissue technology that's getting us back to where we once were. And I've got 5 new clones from back then right now that I'm running, and I can't wait to see if they're the real deal. So, but yeah, we've kind of bunched everything together in new. I mean, everything's hybrid and polyhybrid, and it's kind of, it's either leaning indica or it's leaning sativa. There's no one or the other.
One other question. What was the first strand that you growed? What had a name besides, the region strands, like,
Yeah.
and all that? What was like a name? What was the first name?
Hindu
Or
Kush.
first seed?
Hindu Kush.
Okay. Hindu.
Yeah. I had
Appreciate it.
had a Grolux light that was 8 feet long, and had tinfoil around it. My buddy just came back from India, and he was in high school, and his parents took a vacation over there. But he had a pack of nice, fat Hindu Kush seeds, and I've yet to see a Hindu Kush that tasted like that ever since then. So that's why I'm interested in bringing that kind of stuff back. You don't see that kind of weed nowadays. So Hindu Kush, I'd love to find that again.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. I'm in the chat.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for coming up.
Bless up. One love.
Bless. Let me see. Nancy said she grew Alien Tech.
Yeah, good. No, it's available.
Let me read. I'm trying to click it, but my shit.
Somebody mentioned about the water, cold water to get the red. I forget who was.
Oh yeah, earlier in the show, when we was talking, they were talking about, can we talk about spraying cold water to get the color changes?
Yeah, you can. So that was actually, I was going to mention that when we were talking about IPM for the bud chamber. I was diligently just giving it a morning mist. Okay. And the idea there was somewhat of an IPM, but just to basically imitate nature. Because every morning it's usually there's a dew or some kind of mist in the garden outside. So, and that's when I noticed that the Bingus Berry in particular was turning this beautiful red. I mean, just a wine red color. And I thought, wow, is that in the genetics? And I thought it must be, right? And I took a video of it. And I could show you if you wanted, but then I didn't do it, and it basically did not turn red. Let me show you that. I'll bring that one up because it is kind of an interesting video to check out, my friends. Where am I going to find it here? I should have this ready. But yeah, every morning I would spray mist, and it turned this beautiful shade of red. Just bear with me. I'll find it. Yeah. Sorry, folks.
No problem, bro. Remember, this show's about you tonight, so it's okay to take a
There it is. There it is. So yeah, it would turn this wine color. I've never had a strain do that. The Bingus Blackberry did turn dark purple, but not red wine. And this, you can even see the drips dripping off the leaves here in this video, because I just sprayed it with the morning mist, and it did not do this. The next run, when I ran it, it did not turn purple because I wasn't spraying it. I got lazy. So, and did it hurt the trichomes? No, it did not. It just turned a beautiful color. Yeah. So will it do it? Will that happen for your strain? I don't know. I mean, this is the Bingus Berry. It does happen with the Bingus Berry. This pheno, it does it predominantly. I had another pheno number 8. It did it as well, but not quite as purple. So it has a tendency to do this if you choose. All right, it has excellent bag appeal when you do. Uh, and yeah, these are beans that you can get if you want to email me at bingus503@gmail.com. So there. So yeah, that it's just anthocyanin is the activation chemical. Anthocyanins are what make cannabis turn red, purple, blue. I mean, it has all different types of effects on plants, not just cannabis.
Okay. Let me see. Nasty said, oh, Nuggy. Earlier. Okay, we can go to that. Nuggy said earlier, where did you get your mag sulfur from earlier? Remember when you said I asked you about the cow mag and the mag sulfur switching?
Blue Planet. I don't. I just use CalMag. I don't use the sulfur.
Okay.
And Blue
I'm
Planet.
just asking. I'm just going back to Nancy. Nancy said cold temps turn her plants red and purple. Also,
Yeah.
I've known for like that to happen on 90% of the time, especially with strains that very. I mean, that has that purple in the genetics. So they usually with cold temps, it makes it more prominent.
Yes, indeed. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty. It's pretty.
Dark purple with blackish green leaves is cool too. Anybody else want to come up, ask them a question or drop a question in the chat? All right, y'all should know. Okay, I seen them grow in the cubes, straight perlite. That's where my curiosity came from. If it could be in pumice instead, can you use pumice instead of perlite in
Pumice,
the
you can. You can. You can use all kinds of different stuff. Grow rock, pumice. Um, Pumice has a tendency to be a little bit too grainy and not as effective. Vermiculite, if you want to retain water. I use 3 to 1, 3 bags perlite to 1 bag of peat moss. It seems to
Okay.
work perfectly for me. 8-gallon bags, and I might change that up since they jumped the price to $20 a bag. But I don't know. I doubt it. It's still cheap. You know what I mean?
It be cheap compared to what the price is for a lot of other stuff out there.
Yeah.
Cat Bar says Zeolite or Zeolite.
I actually never heard of this Olite. Sorry.
All right.
Is it an LED lamp? If it glows, it grows, man. So
You guys know I'm not gonna read no bullshit. So, um,
oh, Alan's in the chat. Come on.
yeah. Alan said, not spreading all kinds of microbe resin, etc. Aphid's not good, but who knows?
Hang in there, buddy. You'll do it fine.
All on minimal lock on pests.
Yeah, dude. You got to get rid of bugs. They're not good. Period.
He said, Cabar say look them up. It's a medium in plants. They use them in Japan.
Okay. Oh, Zolite. Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha, man. I will check that.
Zolite? I said Zeolite,
Yeah.
didn't I? I'm sorry.
Maybe it is Zeo. I'll make a note of it. Right on.
Yeah, Zolite. I mean, if nobody got any questions and none of that, Bingus, you're more than welcome to stay and hang out and sit up. You know what I'm saying? Probably gonna go for another like 20 minutes. Um,
Sure.
anybody want to come up, hang out? You can hit that link, chill. Well, the link's gone. I never pinned it.
I'm going to just take a quick pee break and I'll be back joining you guys.